Thank you and welcome to the concluding part, the African wildlife endangered species. Please check out the previous videos if you haven't done so already. Now dive into this interesting video. First on the list today is African elephant, forest elephant, Loxodonta cyclotis. The African forest elephant, Loxodonta cyclotis, is a subspecies of elephant found in the rainforests of Central and West Africa. They are smaller in size compared to their savanna counterparts, the African bush elephants, Loxodonta africana. Forest elephants face similar threats to their savanna counterparts, including poaching and habitat loss. Poaching for ivory remains a significant threat to forest elephants. Their tusks are highly valued in the illegal wildlife trade, leading to widespread poaching of these magnificent animals. The demand for ivory, primarily from Asian markets, continues to drive the illegal killing of elephants and the illegal trade in their ivory products. Habitat loss and fragmentation are major challenges for forest elephants. As human populations expand and agricultural activities, logging, mining, and infrastructure development expand, the rainforests, which are the elephants' natural habitat, are being cleared and fragmented. This habitat loss not only reduces the available living space for forest elephants, but also disrupts their movement patterns and access to food and water sources. Other factors contributing to the decline of forest elephants include human-elephant conflict, where elephants come into conflict with local communities due to crop raiding, and the impact of civil unrest and armed conflicts in some regions, which exacerbate the poaching crisis. Adax nasomaculatus. The Adax nasomaculatus, is a desert antelope species found in the Sahara Desert. They are classified as critically endangered on the Yukon Red List, primarily due to hunting, habitat loss, and climate change. They have been historically hunted for their meat, hides, and horns. The demand for their parts, both for subsistence and illegal trade, has resulted in significant population declines. Unregulated hunting, coupled with limited law enforcement in some regions, has further exacerbated the decline of Adax populations. Habitat loss is another critical factor contributing to the endangerment of Adax. This loss of suitable habitat reduces their available feeding grounds, water sources, and breeding areas, making it more challenging for Adax populations to persist. Climate change poses an additional threat to Adax populations. The Sahara Desert, where Adax is found, is experiencing the impacts of climate change, including increased aridity, desertification, and extreme weather events. These changes in environmental conditions can further stress Adax populations and reduce their ability to adapt and survive in their already harsh and limited habitats. Riverine rabbit, Banolodus monticularis. The riverine rabbit, Banolodus monticularis, is one of the most endangered mammals in the world and is found exclusively in the Karoo region of South Africa. It faces significant threats, primarily habitat loss and predation by invasive species. Habitat loss and degradation are major concerns for the riverine rabbit. The conversion of land for agriculture, livestock grazing, and human settlement has resulted in the destruction and fragmentation of its natural habitat. As a specialized species, the riverine rabbit requires specific vegetation types found along the seasonal rivers and drainage lines in the Karoo. When these habitats are lost or altered, it greatly impacts the rabbit's ability to find suitable shelter, food, and breeding sites. Predation by invasive species is another significant threat to the riverine rabbit. Predators such as feral cats and dogs, as well as non-native species like black-backed jackals, have been introduced to the region. These predators pose a significant risk to the rabbit population, as they are not naturally adapted to deal with such predators and their hunting strategies. Wattled crane, Bugranus carunculatus. The wattled crane, Bugranus carunculatus, is a large bird species found in wetlands and grasslands of sub-Saharan Africa. Here are some key points about the wattled crane and its conservation status. Wattled cranes are primarily found in sub-Saharan Africa, with their range extending from South Africa and Namibia in the south to Sudan, Ethiopia, and Zambia in the north. They inhabit a variety of wetland and grassland habitats, including marshes, floodplains, and savannas. Endangered status: the wattled crane is classified as an endangered species on the Yukon Red List. Its population has been declining primarily due to various threats. Habitat loss and degradation are significant threats to wattled cranes. Wetland drainage for agriculture, urbanization, and infrastructure development results in the loss and fragmentation of their critical feeding and nesting habitats. This loss of suitable habitat restricts their foraging opportunities and nesting sites. Pollution, especially water pollution from agricultural runoff, industrial waste, and mining activities, poses a threat to the wattled crane and its wetland habitats. Contamination of water sources can impact the availability of suitable food and nesting conditions for the cranes. Human disturbance, including recreational activities, livestock grazing, and human settlements near nesting sites, can disrupt the breeding behavior of wattled cranes. Nest abandonment or destruction can occur due to disturbance, leading to reduced reproductive success and population decline. Hirola, Beatrix hunteri. The Hirola, Beatrix hunteri, also known as hunter's hartebeest, is indeed a critically endangered antelope species found in Kenya and Somalia. Here are some key points about the Hirola and the threats it faces. Hirolas are endemic to a limited area along the border of Kenya and Somalia, primarily inhabiting semi-arid grasslands and savannas. The Hirola is one of the most critically endangered antelope species in the world, listed as such on the Yukon Red List. Its population has experienced a significant decline due to various threats. Habitat loss is a major threat to Hirolas. Conversion of their natural grassland habitat for agriculture, settlement, and livestock grazing has resulted in the loss and fragmentation of their range. This diminishes their available foraging areas and disrupts their movement patterns. Competition with livestock: Hirolas face competition with domestic livestock, such as cattle and goats, for resources like water and grazing land. Overgrazing by livestock can degrade the Hirola's habitat, reducing the quality and availability of suitable food sources. Predation: Hirolas are also susceptible to predation by carnivores, including lions and hyenas. The loss of suitable habitat and reduced population sizes make them more vulnerable to predation. African painted dog, Lycaon pictus. African painted dogs, Lycaon pictus, also known as African wild dogs, are highly social and face numerous threats. Here are some key points about African painted dogs and the challenges they encounter. African painted dogs inhabit a range of habitats across sub-Saharan Africa, including grasslands, savannas, and woodland areas. However, they face habitat loss and fragmentation due to human activities, such as agriculture, logging, and urbanization. These activities reduce the available space for the dogs to roam, hunt, and establish their dens. African painted dogs often come into conflict with human populations, primarily due to competition for resources. Encroachment of human settlements into their habitat leads to increased encounters and conflicts over prey species, particularly domestic livestock. In response to such conflicts, local communities sometimes resort to retaliatory killings of the dogs to protect their livelihoods. Diseases and domestic animal transmission: African painted dogs are susceptible to diseases, including rabies, canine distemper, and parvovirus, which can be transmitted from domestic dogs. Contact with domestic animals in areas where wild dogs and domestic dogs overlap increases the risk of disease transmission, leading to population declines. African painted dogs have a relatively limited distribution compared to other large carnivores. They require large territories to thrive, and their populations are sensitive to habitat fragmentation. The loss of connectivity between suitable habitat patches can isolate populations and limit genetic diversity, making them more vulnerable to local extinctions. These are just a few more examples of endangered animals in Africa. It's important to raise awareness and support conservation efforts to protect these species and their habitats. Conservation efforts to protect these endangered species. Several organizations and conservation initiatives are working to protect African endangered species and mitigate the threats they face. Key strategies include habitat conservation, establishing protected areas and maintaining connectivity between habitats through wildlife corridors helps ensure the availability of suitable habitats for African wildlife. These protected areas also offer them refuge from human disturbances. Anti-poaching and law enforcement. Strong anti-poaching measures are crucial to combat illegal hunting and trapping of endangered species. Increased law enforcement and penalties help deter wildlife crime and protect these endangered animals. Community engagement. Engaging local communities and raising awareness about the importance of African wildlife helps foster positive attitudes towards their conservation. Collaborative initiatives that involve communities in conservation efforts and provide alternative livelihoods can mitigate human-wildlife conflicts. Disease management. Monitoring and managing disease outbreaks in the populations is essential. Vaccination programs and disease surveillance help mitigate the impact of diseases transmitted from domestic animals. Finally, international collaborations and organizations play a vital role in supporting the conservation of African wildlife. They provide funding, technical expertise, and resources to implement conservation strategies and research initiatives. Thanks for watching. We hope you found this video informative and educational. Please support us, subscribe to our channel, like and share. Thank you.